What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video, and in this video we're going to be continuing on with our SwiftUI tutorial series, and in this particular tutorial we are going to be taking a look at how we can use a picker in SwiftUI. Now, let's talk about what a picker is. Well, a picker is a view that allows you to select something from a collection of other items. So this could be, for example, a list of names. It could be a list of colors. It could be a list of shapes. It could be a list of clothing sizes. It could be any kind of data that allows you to pick an option from an array of other options. Now, there are many different styles to the picker. I'll show you a few of them today. I'm not going to show you all of them, but I'm going to show you a few of them to kind of get you started. And in this particular example, what we're going to do is we're going to have a picker of colors. And this picker, when we select one of the options in this picker, a view, whether it be an image or a shape or something like that, whatever I choose to do on the spot, we're going to change its foreground style to a gradient of that color. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to need in Xcode is we are going to need our set of data that we're going to populate our picker with. In this case, I have a private constant called colors, and this is referencing a colors constant in my constants file. Then we're going to need some state to manage which color has been selected in our picker. So to do this, it's pretty simple. It's nothing we haven't done before. At state private var, we'll call it selection, make it of type color, and I'm going to set it to .teal to start with. So our color that we're going to have selected by default is teal. Now, in our body, I have a navigation stack and a form. In this form, we're going to place our picker. All right. So, in this picker, the initializer is going to take a couple things. First, it's going to need a label of some kind. We're going to need a binding to manage the selection, and it's going to need some content. So we, the stuff that the picker displays to the user that you can select from. Now, there are two ways that you can provide these three pieces of information. You can specify first the label as a string, then the selection, then the content. Or you could provide the selection first, then the content, then the label. And the second option there allows you to specify the label as any kind of view. It could be a label view, it could be text, it could be a shape even, whatever the case might be, you could do. But we're going to go with the first option, where the label will be a string, and then after that, we give it the selection binding and then the content. So we'll say capital P picker select a color, comma, selection, $selection, and then we give it a trailing closure for its content. Inside of here, we're going to use a for each view to loop through all of our, all of the potential options. So we'll say for each colors, The ID to identify it is going to be a \name.self, because every item in the colors array that we have is a tuple, and this tuple has a string called name, which is going to be the name of the color as a string, and then the second color, and then the second parameter there, the second thing stored in the tuple, is a color, and it's called color. So this is going to be kind of like a color object that you would color view rather that you would use to set the foreground style or background color of something or whatever the case might be. All right. And so that's where \name is coming from. We want the hash value of our string to be the identifier in our for each to identify each item. Then we'll give this closure a parameter called color in. So inside of our for each, we are going to actually specify the item for our picker. So we'll say text color.name. And then there's one more thing we need to do here, and that is give it a tag. Because right now, if we keep it as is, and we just have text here, the selection will be a string and not a color. So the types don't match, and it will not compile. It won't build. So in order to make sure that the types for the selection match, we need to use a tag. So .tag, and say that the tag, the item that's going to be referred to our selection state, is going to be of type color. So it'll be color.color. The value of the selection will be the color associated with each item. All right, and that is that's the most basic picker constructed. We don't have any errors or anything like that. Now, the next thing that we're going to do here is beneath our picker, we're going to have an image. I've decided this on the spot. We're going to have an image, and it's going to be the Swift. It's going to be the Swift SF symbol, and we're going to set its foreground style to the selected color. And it's going to be kind of a gradient of the selected color. So we can do this by saying image system name Swift, like that, dot resizable dot scaled to fit dot frame with a width of, let's say, 300, or yeah, we'll say 300, and a height of 300. Because we want this to appear, we want this to appear also on the phone, right? So with that, we have our frame where we have our image resized. Let's go ahead and do dot foreground style. foreground style, and it's going to be selection dot gradient, like that. All right. So let's go ahead and run this code now. We're in our simulator. You can see our Swift symbol is teal at the moment. When we select a color, let's say green, now the symbol is green. Right. So it can be any color you need it to be, but right now it's green. I'm going to run this now on the Mac side of things. Right. So you've seen what the picker looks like now in iOS by default. When you tap it in a form, it will bring up a context menu of options for you to pick from. On macOS, the default picker is going to be a pop-up button. So when we save this and run it, here we can see our Swift symbol right there. It's teal. You can see teal in our select and select a color pop-up button. We can open this. Let's say white. Now it's white. We can change it to mint. Now it's mint. We can change it to indigo. Now it's indigo. We can change it to black, and now it's black. We can change it to orange, and now it's orange. We can set it to purple, and now it's purple. So you kind of get the idea of how the picker is working. We're selecting a color, and then we're reacting to that state change. All right. Now, the next picker style I want to show you, other than the default, is the segmented picker style. Now, this is going to give us a segmented control. So if you're familiar with macOS and iOS, UI segmented control and NS segmented control is how you used to have to get the segmented control in UIKit and AppKit respectively. But it's as simple as attaching a picker style modifier to the picker. So let's go into Xcode. And then in here, here we go. We can say dot picker style dot segmented. Save, run. Now here, because we have so many options, they're not all going to fit, right? They're not all going to fit in their entirety with their titles. So one thing you need to keep in mind with a segmented control picker style is that there should only be there should only be a very small number of items in a segmented control. There are guidelines for this. There's guidance in the human interface guidelines. So if you question the number of items that should be in a segmented control, or you just want to make sure that you're following those guidelines, I highly recommend that you read them. It's not like a hard and fast rule of how many items should be in a segmented control. It's just a matter of what would make the best user experience, right, for your users. But if we go into our segmented control, we can select some colors. Now it's gray. Now it's black. Now it's indigo. Now it's pink. Now it's purple. Now it's green. Now it's red. You know, you can kind of get you get the idea, right? Perfect. So that is our segmented control picker style. Now, on iOS, it looks no different, but at least the segmented control acts and doesn't look much different. However, on the phone, 15 segments, it's not great, right? So we'll skip running that in the simulator. The next style we're going to take a look at is macOS specific, and that is radio group. Now, the radio group picker style allows you to have a picker where each item is represented as a radio button. There are ways that you can manipulate this radio group, and I'll show you how that works here in a second. But right now, I want you to change the picker style from segmented to radio group. Save, run. There we go. We have a successful build. And here we are. So you can see all 15 colors are now represented as radio buttons. So we can say it's green. We can say it's purple. We can say it's yellow. We can say it's brown. You could say it's indigo. You get the idea. This isn't a great user experience here, right? Because generally, radio group should not be any more than 4 or 5 maximum radio buttons. 15 is excessive. If you go beyond 5, your best bet is to use like the pop-up button, kind of a drop-down type thing for your picker, rather than a segmented control or radio buttons. Now, what if you want these radio buttons oriented horizontally rather than vertically? All right. Well, that can be arranged. So inside of our code here, after our picker style, we can say dot horizontal radio group layout. And when we save this, now each radio button is next to one another. Now again, a radio group shouldn't be any more than 4 or 5 maximum radio buttons, so 15 is excessive. But we can still select colors and change it, you know, all that stuff. All right, so that just about does it for this video on pickers and how we can create radio buttons and segmented controls out of it. There are some other styles that I urge you to read up on and experiment with, like palette and inline, but I wanted to leave something for you to kind of experiment with and explore. So that pretty much does it for this video, guys. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you in the next video.